we all know that Vish balances me out in a lot of ways. I've been very hard on Kyle Shanahan for years. Vish always comes on the show as like, let's look at it from Kyle's perspective. I respect Kyle's perspective. I see it from Kyle's perspective. Kyle's really good and he's really smart. I'm curious to hear what you think of him now. I'm not trying to gloat. I'm just trying to gauge from someone who sees it differently than me. I mean, I'm wearing red, you wearing blue. We are yin and yang here. Where are you at with Kyle right now? Where does a Kyle fan stand with Shanahan?
So I still am high on Kyle Shanahan. It's not necessarily even about the results with my favorite team or whatever. I just look at what he has the potential to do as a head coach, and I say if somebody else hires that and if he irons out a couple of things and he gets more matured, or if he does that with the 49ers, I still think he can be a great head coach. I think he's got everything. I think he sees the big picture. Where I'm at with Kyle Shanahan, though, is I'm very frustrated. And where that frustration stems from is the quarterback position. We're 5 years into the Kyle Shanahan experience, and we're still up in the air with what that is. And
Yeah.
that's really the frustrating aspect of this, because the idea was that, and I wasn't one of the people who said this, but a lot of people who love Kyle Shanahan as much as me kept saying he wanted Kirk, he didn't want Jimmy. He wanted Kirk, he
Right.
didn't want Jimmy. Just wait till he gets who he wants. Just wait till he gets who he wants. And
Yep.
here we go. We had one offseason, an opportunity to move off of Jimmy. Apparently, Brady was only marginally better than him.
That's
I
right.
didn't think Tom Brady was that good in 2019. I still think Tom Brady is getting vastly overrated today when people are saying he's a top 5 quarterback. I still thought he was much better than Jimmy Garoppolo in 2019. You know this for a fact, Grant, because that summer was when we met, and I was stunned that they didn't make that move,
Yeah.
because I thought he's more mobile within the pocket, which is shocking because Brady's immobile, but he's better in tight
Right.
spaces than Jimmy. He has a stronger arm. He obviously processes information better. So I don't know how you could come to the conclusion that he's marginally better when at 44 he's still the more physically gifted player. So that's
Totally.
one. Two,
Yeah.
then we go to this offseason and we think Stafford, we think Watson, we think all of these different possibilities. No. Other teams get those guys. Watson went through something that was unforeseen. Then they trade up. They trade up for a quarterback. You think finally, hey, trade up for Trey Lance. And yet this team is still, what, $35 million in the books this year for the quarterback
Yeah.
position with
Yep.
Jimmy Garoppolo. And it's
Hold
not
on, let's
even
slow down real
about.
quick. Let's slow down. Let's slow down real quick because this timeline kills me. I'm gonna do it real quick. You just did it. I'm gonna do it in 20 seconds. But again, the timeline was wait for Kirk Cousins. That was the first plan at quarterback.
Right.
Then they
Pass on
abandoned waiting for
Watson,
Kirk
pass on
Cousins.
Mahomes.
Right. Okay. So they passed on Mahomes because they were waiting for Cousins. As they were waiting for Cousins, they were like, screw waiting for Cousins. We're on Jimmy. But then Jimmy was never their guy because he wanted Cousins. And while they were dissatisfied with Jimmy, they passed on Tom Brady, didn't make a serious run at Matthew Stafford, didn't trade it up to number 3 without knowing who they wanted.
A
That's
month
right.
before the
A
draft.
month before the draft. Okay, keep going.
Kyle Shanahan says he wants a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
It's just the mixed messages.
Okay. And then they trade up for Trey Lance. And then out of nowhere, they say, you know what? Actually, we love Jimmy. Oh, you got the wrong impression. We
Right, but
actually
that
really like Jimmy.
even that was totally fine, right? Then they
Yeah.
say 2 quarterback system. He said it explicitly. I don't care what anybody says. He said
Oh, he did.
we're trying it, and
Oh,
Albert
he did.
Breer wrote an article about it after week 1 saying that Jimmy Garoppolo said that was the one thing he was not a fan of
They brought
because
in
Kyle
Drew
Shanahan
Brees to talk
suggested
to
it to
Jimmy
him.
Garoppolo about it in Costa Mesa. I was there. Jimmy was there. Drew Brees was there. They brought him in as a special guest speaker to be like, look, I'm a Hall of Famer and I dealt with it, so you can do it too, Jimmy. I mean, honestly.
And then we were 3 weeks into the season, and Trey Lance has played what, 5 snaps, 7 snaps?
7, 7,
Yeah.
7, 7.
So it was something like that, and so that's where it was all very
Was it
confusing. Kyle
5 week
Shanahan,
1, 0 week 2, 2 week 3? Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
something like that, and
Something like that.
that's where it is frustrating, right? Because you get to the point where it just feels like this indecision is never ending with him in the quarterback position. And that's what everybody has felt like has
It's
been
what
holding
defines
him
him.
back.
It's what defines him. Yeah.
Imagine Kyle Shanahan with a real quarterback. And the issue is that, and I'm one to blame for this, is we keep giving excuses for the quarterback position, saying this guy did this. That's why Kyle Shanahan had this quarterback and he made the best of this quarterback. Really, Kyle Shanahan is laying in the bed that he laid.
Also, real quick, the end of this timeline is he wanted Mac Jones but didn't get him. I'm sorry, man. Are we still on that? Like he's going to be right down the line, and the Niners overruled him, and he should have had Mac Jones. Like Mac Jones looks really polished and stuff, but that was the plan the whole time, was to just blow it all up for Mac Jones, and then back down at the very last minute and be like, well, I still didn't get my guy. I thought you had all the power in this organization. What's going on? Like
Yeah,
that?
I,
Yeah,
I'm
I don't know.
I'm not 100% sure.
No one is.
I also
That's
believe
just the rumor. Yeah,
no, I do believe that there was something to that rumor. I
there's a
don't
lot of
really
smoke.
care what anyone says. I just believe when
Yeah.
the most credible reporters in the NFL have something to say about it. I'm sorry. I don't think they missed on that one.
So okay,
I don't
okay,
think they missed on
hold on.
something
So
that
you
big.
said a
So
lot of interesting stuff. Let me follow up. So you said you still trust him, but then you just laid out really how you're
well, I
starting
said I was
to
frustrated with him. That doesn't
frustrated
mean I
based on
still
the
don't believe
quarterback
in him.
stuff.
Yeah.
So now that you've seen 5 years of him unable to even make a decision at the quarterback stuff, is it not does it, have you changed how you look at him in any way? In any way? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Uh, Mm, a little bit here and there. I think that one thing I'm learning is that maybe he shouldn't be in charge of
Hmm,
every single thing. Maybe
everything.
he does
Yeah.
need a GM who's going to give him a quarterback and say, "This is your quarterback," and you coach him,
Because real
and
quick,
he'll
you
do
know
a
what?
good job of coaching and managing
McVay
and
works with a
maximizing that
strong general
quarterback.
manager. McVay does it. Les Snead was there before him. He's good at his job. I'm sure they work together. He doesn't force players on McVay, but if McVay can lower his ego enough to let a strong general manager do his job, Shanahan should be able to do that too.
Yeah, I mean, McVay was hired by a strong GM,
That's
so
right.
that's part of it. But McVay also got the quarterback that he wanted, right? And that's part of the frustration too, right? I talked about it a little bit this offseason when the Rams traded for Stafford. I said, Shanahan's been running this little leaky like rumor, like Niners aren't fully sure on Garoppolo, Niners are in on this guy, Niners are
Yeah.
in on that guy, and yet every year Garoppolo's there. McVay, on the other hand, seems to be in paradise with Goff, who's worse than Garoppolo, in my
Right.
opinion. And then the moment
Talking
he
him up,
turns
talking
on
him up,
Goff,
talking him up.
Goff
Yeah.
is out of here.
Yep.
Goff is out of here. They didn't
Yep.
play the, oh, does he like Goff? Does he not like Goff? And then even this week, like the what's his name? Excuse me, the guy who wrote the Seth Wickersham in his
Yeah.
book, the excerpt about they feel the Niners coaches feel that it takes too much to get Jimmy Garoppolo ready to play on Sundays
Yeah.
mentally. He goes, no, Jimmy and I are way closer than that and all of that. But it's not true. But
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing that's just not true
Yeah.
because Seth Wickersham. I mean, you look at the book he's written.
Yeah. I mean, he's the most. Yeah. All right. Okay, Kyle. So look, I think I understand that you're still a big Kyle Shanahan fan, and 2 losses isn't going to change anything. But you're starting to look at him a little sideways at this point. Like, dude. I mean, look, real quick. Let's broaden this. Yeah, his indecision at quarterback is probably going to define his term here if he can't work it out with Trey Lance. But what about his offense just in the short term? Like, what do you think of what he's doing as a coordinator right now?
I mean, I went back through that game real fast. I told you I had the film. I thought there was one call that was really, really egregious. The 4th and 2 sweet speed to Debo was just a bad play call.
It was to the short side of the field, if I remember correct.
Yeah, it was to the short side of the field against numbers.
Like what?
I mean, McGlinchey got absolutely whooped on that play,
Yeah.
but not
Also,
ideal.
the trick play throwback seemed like the offense was actually doing pretty well, and that kind of
Unnecessary.
took things out of. That's unnecessary. What are you
It
doing?
was it was unnecessary, but I
Yeah,
mean, overall, I just think that look, he's not doing I think the frustration is that a lot of people defend his record by saying he had to build his own roster. Year
sure.
5, this roster is built, and the 49ers are sitting at 2-2, and they've
The
had
reason
a
it's injury
poor
prone is because he
offense.
built it this way with these players.
They've
Yeah,
had a bad offense
yeah.
through 4 games of this season. There's no other way to put it, and that's where I question when people say like, because Jimmy Garoppolo has, let's be honest, he has not played bad football by any means. Every snap he's played, if you go mark it down, you will
No,
say he's
that
playing
no,
solid
not at
football.
all.
But
Not at all.
when where I question when people push back on whether he's the change they should make or whatever is the 49ers offense is putrid. There's no other way to put it. People
Yeah.
thought that this offense with Ayuk hasn't taken the next step. He has 6 catches through 4 games with George Kittle, who's basically on one leg. George
No,
Kittle
I
didn't
look like
look
another one
in
of
the
these
game.
wide receivers who had a good rookie year and regressed.
And the issue is that they've invested in this offense heavily the last 2 years. They paid Trent Williams the big bucks. They signed Alex Mack. They traded up for
Exactly.
Brandon Ayuk. They drafted Debo Samuel. They drafted Trey Lance. They
Landon Kittle.
drafted Trey Sermon. They drafted Elijah Mitchell. They have put the beginning of this regime put a lot into defense, and they built this defense up. The last couple of years, it's been a heavy investment in building up an offense, and it's not a very good offense at this point. And that's
Nope.
where I am frustrated with
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan, but I'm also frustrated with this entire regime because I feel like their misses are starting to add up. It's not just the misses, it's the assets they gave up for these misses.
I
Like
got a
three
comparison
picks.
for Kyle. What do you think?
What is it?
Throw this at you. Now, their schemes are different. So don't get caught up in that. Their schemes are different. Just their end result. Adam Gase. The reason I say that, they built their reputations with Hall of Fame quarterbacks, or definitely Hall of Fame in Gase's case. Then they become head coaches. And what Gase in particular, well, both of them are getting known for is not necessarily developing. I mean, just Gase did a bad job with Tannehill. And I was curious to see what happens with Garoppolo later on in his career, but he's only gotten worse from what I've seen under Kyle Shanahan. Gase, what do you think? That too harsh?
Yeah, it's
Too harsh. Too harsh.
that's not a
It's a
good
little
one.
harsh.
Right?
It's a little
That
harsh.
one doesn't. Yeah, that one.
I mean, I like
I
Shanahan's
yeah.
system better than Gase, but in terms of their ability to develop a quarterback, lead a team, win games, I don't know. Anyway,
He did that in 2019 though. He did something that Gase has never done as a head coach.
good point. Good point.
He
All right, well,
developed an entire team and took it to the Super Bowl.
that's
So
true. Gase never did that, and he's never going to get another chance, right? We're done with it. Is he still in the league?
no.